All right. Here on Sports Beat KC Chiefs podcast. I'd like to give a quick shout out to our main man, Kevin MacLeod. Thank you for your royalty-free music. Quite a badass intro, I must say. That is the exclusive intro to our Chiefs podcast. And guess what? I got 3/4 of the A-team with me. This is Terez Paylor. And you're never going to believe this, but I'm B.A. Baracus. And in this situation, we got Hannibal, Vahe Gregorian.
Can't I be Mr. T?
No, boy. I pity the fool who try to take my spot. And we got Sam. We got Murdoch in the house. What's going on, Sammy?
I wish I had a good Murdoch reference to give you right now, but it's been too long. I'm getting old.
I think I'm the only one in this room that knows about the A-team, but that's okay. That's okay. Some of y'all out there get it. That's right. It's the A-team. Our man Face, Blair Kirkhoff, is on assignment. You know, Face is out there doing something. Shout out to Face, man. We miss you. Let's get you in the studio. I want the full A-team next week. Straight up. I'm calling it right now. I want the full A-team. But Vahe, how's it going, my man?
Terez, it's going okay. It's nice to share a mic with you, to share a pod with you.
Yeah.
A studio with you here at the Star Studio.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's good. We're just awash in Chief stuff right now, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
almost like they're going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we're gonna. I gotta say, I'm also gonna give a quick shout out to Smoothie King at Pure Recharge. It's basically the closest thing we've got to crack out there, other than Starbucks. So this podcast and the energy we've got is a pretty good. Is brought to you by the Pure Recharge Smoothie.
I think you're gonna have to speak for yourself because I didn't get that recharge, and the way Sam's slouching in his chair, I don't think he did either. So
it's time to turn it up.
This coffee mug right here.
Turn it up.
Last time we talked to you was about the miracle of coffee when you had your first coffee discovery.
And I still love coffee.
This coffee stuff works.
Yeah. Not in that language. Not in that language. I was jacked up, too. I was ready to go. Let's write. Let's go. You know, you need that little boost in the morning time the older you get, right?
That was a 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
I know.
Noon burst, as I recall. But hey, we need it then, too.
Was it 2 o'clock? It was more like noonish. I mean, it was time to go. I needed it. But anyway, we're back in the mix here, and we got a 7-5 football team, fellas. Team that's won 6 games straight. And we're going to delve into plenty of Chiefs talk. We're going to take your questions. A lot of you guys sent us questions this week with the hashtag #AskTheA-Team, and I like it. And we're going to answer every one of those tweets, every one of those questions. Thank you. We appreciate that. And also, before we delve into some questions I've got for you guys, I want to say I'm taking this to the people. I want a name for this podcast, and I want a sponsor too. I'm not playing around now. This is good work. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. We work hard for you. We give you all the content you could ever want about the team you love. Royals Podcast has a sponsor. Straight up, I want a sponsor right now. So I'm calling it out to the people. This is good stuff. I also want you guys to rate and review this podcast on iTunes. Straight up, that matters. That matters. So I want you to go to iTunes, rate us, give us a good review. I'm not playing around here.
I feel like you've come in today with a real sense of purpose.
There's a real sense of purpose. There's an edge to it.
Yeah.
I'm coming with the Marcus Peters edge. This is me coming back to Oakland. Straight up. I'm not playing around this week. You may be, but I'm not. All right.
Does that mean you're going to start shoving Vahe here in a second?
I'd prefer he looks at me as Charles Woodson instead of perhaps when he wants to hug me up. But,
I grew up in Detroit. Hey, man, I got a soft spot for Charles Woodson. Like the same way Sam looks at Bo Jackson. That's how I look at Charles Woodson, man. That guy is awesome, man. And he still can play, too. We saw that. Charles still has plenty of juice. But, all right, enough of my grandstanding. Let's talk Chiefs. Let's talk Chiefs. And I got some questions for you guys. Also, before we dive in, I got to say, I've heard the Jumpman Crow is going to make an appearance in this podcast. Some of you don't know what that is. Some of you do. But if you've heard the
you're
song,
just talking to the guys in this room.
Yeah.
Who say that.
But I know some of you know what that is. That Drake song, Jumpman. There's a crow that caws all throughout the background. But in my mind, it's on the exact same level of the rap triple air horn. So if somebody makes a good point, you might hear from the Jumpman Crow today.
You might call that just cause.
Just cause to hear from the Jumpman Crow. My good friend Jumpman Crow said he might come in. But all right, let's get into this Chiefs talk. I've got some questions for you guys, our columnists who are paid to have opinions. I'm going to ask you some good questions. And I was actually asked this yesterday on my weekly appearance on 610 Sports. And I thought this was a good question. And I thought it was a tough one, too. So give us some thought here. And I'm going to start with Vahe, but you think about this, Sam. If you could have Marcus Peters or Amari Cooper long term after what we just saw, because this is going to be a great battle for at least the next 5 years, as long as we know both those guys will be under contract with their team, who would you take? Marcus Peters or Amari Cooper? Peters, the 18th overall pick? No, yeah. And Cooper, number 4 overall pick. Who you take? Vahe?
What I think what Cooper has meant to the Chiefs, what Peters has meant to the Chiefs, I keep confusing them. The Marcus thing is getting me. What he's meant to them, I think, is a little bit transformative. That was not his best game at all the other day, but he had great minutes in that game. I realize that they need somebody else to go with Macklin, but maybe I'm just smitten with the moment. But I want Peters. I want Peters in that scenario. I think he changes that defense a little bit. And
I'm going to add something here. Marcus Peters had 5 interceptions this year. You guys remember how many interceptions the Chiefs had all of last year?
Only because you told me it was 6, I think, last season.
He's probably going to have as many interceptions this year as the whole team had last year. But don't let that affect your opinion, Sam. Who you taking?
I actually saw a good Pro Football Focus stat, and now I guess I can't remember if it was before or after the Raiders game, but Peters had more interceptions and more touchdowns against and more balls thrown against him than like any other cornerback in the league. So, which kind of fits who he is. I mean, he's gonna make something happen, you know, one way or the other. But so let me preface this by saying that I think that I am all freaking in on Marcus Peters. I love the guy. I love how he plays. I think I would be very surprised if Cooper and Peters do not make multiple Pro Bowls, multiple All-Pro teams. I think both those guys are incredibly talented. I think that Amari Cooper has, we focus on Peters, but I think Amari Cooper has some rough edges to him too.
Those focus drops, man.
Yeah. I mean, he dropped that was a 4th down, one of his drops, right? And then he had another one later in the game. He went into that game 2nd in the league in drop passes behind Mike Evans, so he might have the lead now. Look, I would take either one of those guys and be thrilled with it, but I think I would take Marcus Peters. I think that in large part because I think cornerbacks are harder to find than wide receivers. I think you can. And I don't say that to diminish Amari Cooper's talents at all, but I just think that a guy that does what Marcus Peters can do, Vahe's in my head now, is just harder to find.
Absolutely, and I agreed on the radio show. Shout out to Danny and CDOT on the drive. Great question, and I agreed because finding a shutdown corner or a potential Pro Bowl corner in today's NFL is harder than finding a good receiver. And here's the thing with Cooper, it's not like he has bad hands. He has good hands. He just has focus drops. And he had him at Alabama. He's got to get that mental part down and really lock in. And so he can't drop all these passes. That guy's too good for that. And Peters has his rough edges too. But I think actually on this team, he's got a coach he respects who lets him be himself. Andy Reid is not going to change who Marcus Peters is. And that's important. You can't go changing who guys are. You got to rein him in a little bit. But Marcus Peters' passion is what makes him the player he is. And if he can harness that for good, he has a chance to even be a leader in a way because guys who care about winning that much can affect their teammates. Now, if he lets it get out of control, he won't be that. He can't be that. But he's got to actually, if he can rein it in, he's really got a chance to be. He's already been a transformative figure on the defense. But he's got a chance to be a special player for him and a more valuable player because it's hard to find really good corners.
It's funny because we were talking about this a lot during the game and before the game the other day. I think, and it's hard to measure this exactly, but we were all isolating on him for portions of the game and before the game. And it's hard to think of many guys you've seen that just overcome by where he's playing in that moment. And I did not see specifically see the vomiting, but as he stated it later, it wasn't because of the stuff that gave him cramps later. It was overexcitement during a game. You hear about this all the time before a game, but during it, it's remarkable.
I look at a guy who's his problem, the way that he's going to hurt you is that he cares too much.
Right.
Like that's the issue. Right. That he's like too locked in and too focused on the game. Like that's the problem. Like that's sign me.
Yeah. What are we going to do with this guy? He loves to play.
I mean, I think that's awesome. And the guy could be a senior in college this year too, right? Like let's not forget, how young he is. I don't think we're ever going to get beyond. I would be legitimately surprised. I just said I'll be surprised if he doesn't make multiple all pro selections. Oh, here we go. Yeah. But I would also be surprised if he goes through a season in the next 5 seasons without at least one unsportsmanlike conduct penalty.
Oh, there's
like
no
he's
way.
gonna have
he's
that.
He's gonna have those.
But I think that you live with that because like if you take that away, I just think he's not an overly like by NFL cornerback standards. He's not like this incredible athlete.
Right. That gives him the edge.
It's his brains.
Right.
And it's his passion.
Right.
And I think that you have to protect that and you have to cultivate that and you have to trust that his desire to do good for his team will motivate him from within to smooth out some of those edges. And I'm all in with that guy.
I'll tell you something. Marcus Peters isn't going to tolerate losing now. Yeah. That's not a guy that's just like he's not a the check still coming on Tuesday guy.
Right.
He ain't one of those guys.
Right.
You losing the game, he's mad, and that's a good thing. And the thing is this too, they don't have a whole lot of guys in that locker room that are as passionate that have his temperament. There's not a lot of guys like that. So like within this locker room, he really helps give them an edge. And I really don't think we're talking too much about Marcus Peters because I think he's been one of the more entertaining guys to watch this year and a reason that this defense has an edge. Now, one other thing here that I think is important to consider, and I'm going to ask you guys because I think I've come around on this. If Chiefs make the playoffs, whether they win and lose the first round game, they're absolutely in win-now mode. Is that right? Mm-hmm. They're in win-now mode. Sean Smith is going to be a free agent corner. He's going to be 29 next year. They drafted Peters, you would think, to replace Smith long-term. But we've seen the way those two feed off each other. And we've seen the way Sean Smith interacts with the younger DBs. He's a loved guy in that locker room. And the Chiefs might have the most demonstrative pair of corners in the NFL. And I think that gives that defense an edge. I know he's a big guy, and common sense dictates you don't pay a big corner who's about to turn 29. But if you're trying to win a Super Bowl next year and you can get out of NFL contracts after a couple years, I think there's really something to be said about making a push to keep Sean Smith because Phillip Gaines is coming off that ACL injury, right? And you're going to need every corner you can get because Parker's still better at safety. I think you need to bring back Sean Smith now. I'm officially on that train. I think you need to go all in for winning the Super Bowl next year. How much longer is Jamal Charles going to be in his prime? He's already coming off the injury. I think they need to bring back Sean Smith. We've seen the way those two play off each other. I like what he means to Peters. Peters listens to him.
I like what Peters means to Smith, too.
Absolutely.
I think Smith takes some of that edge, some of that energy from Peters. I think that's a really good – and you can't just have one good corner.
No,
that can't be a thing where you just, we got this one guy. We're okay at that position. Yeah. I mean, and especially because of, how they play their defense, aggressive, press cover, all this stuff. I think Sean Smith is a great fit for them.
Absolutely.
I think that too, and this is a little different than what you're saying, but it's along the same lines. Watching the way Eric Berry's playing right now – And I think Parker's more and more comfortable too. And this is the first time in the few years I've been here that I look at their defensive backfield as a real advantage overall.
Yeah.
Now, maybe you guys have seen it differently. Maybe 2 years ago they had a little something more than I'm remembering. But this
is
I feel
that's
like
an on-point
I feel like
take.
that's a plus for them. That area of the game right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind,
Jumpman Crow agrees.
and the Barry thing, how about him? I don't mean to take
That's
us
okay,
off topic
that's okay.
too much, but he had 3 pretty big hits on that first series
Setting the tone.
of the game the other day. I mean, those are as good hits as I've ever seen him make, and I still don't know how it's Crabtree. I don't know how he caught that ball in the end zone.
That's a hell of a catch.
That was a great catch.
That's a
It
grown-ass
was.
man throw,
I
too.
mean, he was just drilled from both sides.
Great
We-
throw, great catch.
We all agree the Raiders are going to be a problem for the next 3
I
years,
think
right?
They're gonna be good.
Sure,
The Raiders are
yeah,
going to be good.
yeah.
And they got a boatload of cash to spend this offseason. Del Rio's a good coach. Those guys are going to be a real problem. They don't even have everything they need up front yet.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they get everybody, that's going to be a good team. And so we all agree. I mean, do you agree? You bring back Sean Smith,
yeah.
Sam? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, without having the specific numbers in
Right.
front of
Right.
us and how
Right.
it would work, but in general, I would want to make that a priority.
Absolutely.
Offensive line,
Yeah.
but after that, I think Sean Smith's right up there. Yeah.
Do they? If the guys, sorry, Trez, I don't want
That's
to.
okay, go ahead, go.
You're conducting here, but you're making me think of the offensive line. If they could just get stabilized with the guys they have right now, and not have all these injuries, not have all the ups and downs, was that starting 5 that we saw for whatever it was 4 straight games? Is that a good enough starting 5? And good enough is a funny question because good enough for what? But it sure seems to me like they got a lot more foundation with that group than they'd had.
You got a right guard that's talented but can still get better. So he's going to get better with time because he still is learning how to play at this level. The center's pretty good. Morse is going to be a good player in this league. I think Fisher's going to be a good player. I know what you saw. He was hurt. Like, Fisher's going to be a good player in this league too. And I think Jeff Allen's been important for them.
I think Jeff Allen.
Jeff Allen can play. I think he's been good for them. Yeah. He's brought an attitude, like he wants to be here. I can tell you now, Jeff Allen wants to be here. But he's got a family, he's got a kid, just like Jay Howard. Jay Howard wants to be here. Y'all can take that to the bank. He wants to be here. But they got to do what's best for their families. Both those guys have young families with kids. Like, they want to be here, but they're going to have to do what's best for them. But I would absolutely think about bringing back Jeff Allen. Right tackle, I think Ja Reed's giving him some good stuff. Whether they bring him back, I don't know. I mean, at some point, maybe you invest in a right tackle with another high pick. You know?
I think that's a place that you can improve.
Maybe you invest in a high tackle. And I think that'd be a worthy investment.
Yeah.
There's some guys. But I think that will be that's got to be a priority, firming up that line.
It's hard to, excuse me, it's a hard evaluation to make in a lot of ways because there's been so many injuries and movement because of injuries and movement because of just bad performances. Blair made a good point in the story that he wrote this morning, and I guess I hadn't articulated it in my head, but they've got 4 guys that have played multiple positions on the offensive line already.
Unbelievable
That's
flexibility.
Pretty crazy. So I've actually, for a story I'm working on for later this week, I watched all of Alex Smith's dropbacks since his last interception, and it seems like he's done. One of the reasons that interception streak is so impressive is because of the offensive line, because they've had some issues here and there. But it seems to me that the pressure that they give up seems to come in bunches.
Yeah.
I don't have a stat to back that up, but I was charting his dropbacks. It seems like when there's one dropback where he gets pressure, he's about to get sacked. He's about to get pressure again. It sort of comes in waves like that. So I don't know if that's a scheme thing or if that's a mental toughness thing on the linemen.
When you say waves, Sam, by the way, is that waves from the same spot coming through, or is it's just?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's something that they need to look at. But they have some good players. I think we agree about Jeff Allen. I think Eric Fisher. I think Eric Fisher is better than I feel like most Chiefs fans think he is. I think Mitch Morse is going to be very good.
Good.
I mean, he's going to be like a top 10 kind of center, I would think.
Yeah,
And
I
did
think
you know that coming in, by the way?
No.
I thought that was going to be a long shot pick.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I thought he was going
Yeah.
to take some time.
Yeah.
I thought he'd be good, but I
Long
thought it would
term
take
is
some
what I
time.
should say. Not a instant impact.
I know people crushed that pick. I was okay with it actually because I thought, look, when you're looking for an interior guy, smart. He's got to be smart, which Mitch Morse is, and he's got to be tough. If you got a smart, tough guy who can move the way he does, I'm a dork. I watch the combine drills. After the combine, I go home, I record it. That guy was shuffling his feet. I'm like, oh, Mitch can move. And I covered him in Missouri. I always liked him as a guy. Mitch Morse loves football, just like Marcus Peters. And I'm like, it's not a sexy pick. Everybody wants Tyler Lockett. But, I figured Mitch Morse was going to end up being a good player. Although I will say I had him as a guard. I thought he'd be a guard in this league. And he's turned out to be a center. And he's a big guy for a center, too. So physically, he's the ideal profile for a center. And I'll also say this, too. Fulton, I like him as center, man. I think that might be his best position, in my opinion.
I was surprised when he came in. Which game was that?
Against the Rams.
Where he in the preseason, but then just like a week or two ago, he
against
came
Buffalo,
in and played really well.
Not one bad snap
against
either.
A really tough offensive or defensive line, too.
Not one bad snap for Zach Fulton. And he gets movement at the point of attack, and Andy Reid said he's a smart guy. Zach Fulton's got a chance, at the very least, to be a very good depth guy because he can play right guard and he can play center. Yeah. So,
one quick thing about Mitch that was interesting to me. I talked to Gil Brandt last week for something I was doing on Alex Smith, and out of the blue, he just starts gushing about Mitch, and I think he was talking about seeing him at the combine, and that he was out there catching passes one-handed and throwing the ball 50 yards downfield. All these things that he thought showed different sort of athleticism, and he said he called Dorsey after the pick to congratulate him because he thought he had a really special guy there.
And for everybody that thought they reached on Mitch Morse, the Chiefs say they thought that they knew Seattle was going to take him. And they got – this front office has connections to Seattle. John Snyder, who used to be here. They thought Seattle was going to take him.
Dorsey used to work in Seattle, right? For like a year?
Well, I don't know if he did. Did he?
Went from Green Bay to Seattle for
1 year.
Okay,
1 year,
all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he's got connections to Snyder. So, that's probably pretty good information.
Right.
So there was no way Mitch Morse was lasting to the third round. There were some guys I liked. I liked Havenstein from Wisconsin. He's been starting for the Rams, and because I figured, hey, they need a right tackle. They were going to have to take care of that position at some point. Because even if they draft one next year, he's not going to be good next year. He's going to be learning on the job. So, but Mitch Morse has been good for him, and they didn't have to pay Rodney Hudson a large sum of money. And they're going to have Mitch Morse on the cheap for 4 years. That was a good pick by Dorsey. So we got 4 games left here. And I want to know, real quick, give me your prediction for the rest of the season. These guys, what do you think their final record would be at the end of the year?
Well, I thought they were going to lose this game on Sunday to Oakland. I picked the Raiders just because I don't think that the Chiefs can win. It would be 10 in a row. Mm-hmm.
That's insane in this league.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with they'll lose a game, but with the recognition that I was wrong about which game it would be, and now I'm going to say it'll be at Baltimore.
Okay.
So that would make them 10-6.
Basically the same logic as you. I feel like, they're good enough. They ought to win all the rest of these games. You can't win that many in a row to end the season. So I just sort of assume they'll lose one and they'll finish. What would that be? 10-6.
Right.
But which one? I don't know. The Baltimore one would make the most sense. But it's kind of weird because you've pointed this out a couple times, and really you could start with the Denver game. Each of the last 3 weeks, you could say, in succession, has been a more impressive victory. Mm-hmm. It's become the most impressive victory of the season. Aren't they due to just not have it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. You know what's funny? I've been on this bandwagon for a little while. The only team with a longer winning streak for several weeks now has been, the Panthers. Other than that, the Chiefs are the hottest team in the NFL.
Yep.
I said this a week ago, Sam. We'll see if you're on board with me now. Which team do you guys want? Well, which team do you guys think the Chiefs have the best chance of beating in the first round?
So are we saying of those 3, right? Of Houston, Indianapolis, and Denver. Those are the most probable, and they would all be on the road. Vahe, go. I got to think about it for a second.
Which would they have the least or best chance of winning?
I want to know.
All right, I got Colts.
Yeah.
In order?
You think they'll beat the Colts?
I do.
If they face the Colts, will they beat them?
Yep. Yes.
Texans?
I think I would pick the Texans, but I wouldn't be like, that's not a hill I would die on. You know what I mean? Like, I think they would beat the Texans.
I'll die on that hill. I would die on that hill before I picked them to beat Andrew Luck again.
But I think going to, I don't know, I just beating the same team twice on the road in the same season. I know it was week 1. But I don't know. I just think that's I would
Who's
pick
their
the Chiefs, but
quarterback?
not be
He
but
scares
not
me
be
a
surprised.
lot less than Andrew Luck does.
I'm embarrassed I don't know this, but why do
Luck
we
is
know
being
those would be on the
so
road?
bad.
He's
Why-
hurt though.
why-
He'll be back by the end of the year. After what happened last time,
He's been so bad though.
it's not like he stinks. Like he didn't become like name any Lions quarterback other than
Yeah,
Stafford.
no.
Like
he's
it's
not
Andrew
terrible,
Luck.
but he
was
been
hurt.
really bad.
I don't want any piece of that
I'm not
Remind me
scared of the Colts.
why these games would they be on the road if they had a better record?
because AFC South teams, the division champs,
Oh
always
yeah,
get the
yeah.
home
Okay.
home
Okay,
field.
There
So
you go. Yeah. Okay.
so would you?
I don't like their chances at, let's say, Denver. I think you're right. The Houston thing is problematic to me. Twice on the same field, way different type of team. Remember, that was a team they just kicked in the teeth, and I think humiliated. And I maybe the revenge stuff doesn't really matter much in the playoffs, but I think there's a different edge to Houston for that game too. To me, I guess I do think the Colts would be the most winnable.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, I agree.
And the problem with Denver, out of those 6 teams, and maybe I made this point the last time we talked about this, but out of those 6 teams, the Denver defense is the best unit. Or I'm sorry, I said out of those 6 teams. Out of those 3 teams with 6 units, offense and defense, Denver's defense is the best.
Absolutely.
And
Denver's going to turn up for that game. Osweiler have games under his belt.
not trying to diminish a road win in the NFL at all,
Sure,
but Peyton Manning was just as bad as a quarterback can be in that game. And they were missing Talib, and who else were they missing?
Yeah.
It was another really good defensive player.
Marcus Ware.
Was it Ware?
Yeah.
Miller played. Chris Harris played, right?
Yeah, Chris Harris.
So anyway, I mean that's
going to be a tough
Those
game.
are 2 big misses. So I think that would be a really tough game. But I think they would beat Indianapolis. I think they would beat Houston, but I'm not as sure about that one.
Okay, fair enough. And those are all the questions I've got for you guys today, but fortunately, my loyal followers on Twitter came through. Ask the A-Team hashtag. Thank you guys for your questions. We're going to answer them too. I'm going to give you a shout out in the air as we go through them. So, all right, first question I got today was from my man, Gene Pendakuski. Hey, man, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, holler at me on Twitter. But this is one of my favorite followers, man. I appreciate some of your questions. You've been good this year. He said the Bailey injury is starting to get worrisome. Are we looking at this as a potential season ender for him? I'm the beat guy. I might as well answer this. I don't think so. I think Allen is excited to get back in the mix. I think he'll be back before the end of the year. And they need him, too. Yeah. I was looking at the snap counts, man. Poe's back to carrying his ridiculous workload. And he's still dealing with that back thing. It's time to start rotating guys back in the mix. Jay Howard carried a lot of snaps, too. Those big guys, they need rest. Mike DeVito's dealing with the concussion now. I mean, they're going to need some more depth. So Nick Williams is going to play more. And when Allen Bailey gets back in the mix, that's going to help them a lot. But I am curious to know, do you think these guys have missed Allen Bailey up front?
I do, just because of the rest.
I do too.
think keeping those guys fresh is important. I say that the rest is the first thing that comes to my mind. I think Allen Bailey's a really, really good player. But I think that it sort of, just accumulates when, I think Dontari Poe is much better if you can get him, 20% more rest, if he can really focus on his explosion and use his ridiculous by NFL standards even. This is like old information. I looked it up, that Chargers game when he had that touchdown. But he is a 340-pound man who had a 29.5-inch vertical leap at the combine. Are you kidding me?
It actually kind of makes sense, though, because like that jump measures like your lower body power. And like if you look at Poe, he's not like a sloppily built guy. He's just a giant guy with like huge, with a huge gluteus and big thighs, and it's just power. It's pure power. So he's carrying a lot of weight, but he carries it well. But it's actually just like this. He's got like so much muscle down there. He can leap. I mean, in a way, it kind of makes, because that's what that is.
That's a standing vertical leap, not a step.
It's a measure of I know. It's a measure of like lower body strength, and that's why that made sense.
I can't believe that you're not blown away by it. I understand
I am
your
blown
logic,
away by it, but it makes sense.
How many 340-pound men do you think can jump 29.5 inches off the ground just standing there? This guy's a freak, man.
How many inches can you get off the ground?
So when I was in high school,
I knew this was coming from somewhere. He's like, I can't even jump that myself.
When I was in high school, like high school basketball tryouts, I think it was 28, my vertical leap, but that was with one step. And I remember this because my coach said, "That's amazing for an unathletic white kid." So I do remember that. But that was in high school. Probably now it's like 12.
Yeah.
The only other thing I would add about Poe, and you guys said it in as many words really, but does this cumulative effect stand out even more this year? How much are we not thinking about his back? Because I still can't really believe he got on the field as fast as he did.
He fast-tracked it. He'll be under contract next year, though. He'll be a free agent after that. He's going to need to have a better year to get paid, next year. And then probably with a full offseason of rest, it'll probably be fine. I mean,
but in terms of being ready for a postseason this year and stuff like that, I mean, they do have to cycle him down, don't they?
Well, yeah. I mean,
I would think.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to need him, and they got to start getting Bailey in the mix here. They got to rotate these snaps up a little more. But next question is from my man, Country Boy 567. What's up, bro? Priority list of free agents, who's re-signed and who walks. So who re-signs and who walks? I got some names here, and we're going to run through them real quick. Just yes or no, quick answer why. Will Derek Johnson be back in the Chiefs' new uniform next year? Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes. Just it's hard to imagine him playing anywhere else.
Exactly.
It's funny. I want to say yes for that reason, but I feel like too often we see that not happen with the guy.
Absolutely.
So I hope he is.
And I'll say,
and look, he's playing well, isn't he? I mean,
he looks great.
Yeah,
this is pre-injury Derek Johnson.
Yeah.
He looks awesome.
Last couple of weeks,
Last 2 weeks
especially.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm gonna say yes based on the fact that he looks great. And secondly, when I talked to Clark Hunt at last year's spring meetings, he seemed to have a fondness for Derek Johnson. Now Clark's a businessman, I get it, but it sounded like they would want to bring him back and make sure he's a Chief for his career. And you know what? Derek is really cheap by NFL standards. Like, he got his deal at a time. He's been a good soldier about it. He deserves a nice little payday after everything he's given them on a contract that he could have, he should be, you could argue that he deserves more than he's getting. So I think he'll be back, and I think the right thing to do would be to give him something, a nice little package to repay him for his years of service.
How many more years does he play?
Derek Johnson loves football. I've asked him this a few times. I never got the sense that – I don't get the sense he's ready to retire.
I don't either.
I don't think he's even close to being ready. Maybe, 2 more years, 3 more years? I mean, I think Derek is not – Derek is a smart guy who's thoughtful and could easily go do something else, but I think he wants to play. I think he's not ready for that next stage of his career.
Mm-hmm.
Tamba Hali.
I want to say no with the idea that D Ford is ready, but that's not a fact at all. I don't know how much longer Tamba wants to play.
Yeah, Tamba's been dealing with that knee all year.
Yeah.
And there have been times this season where there a game or two in a row where you thought, I just don't think he can go anymore.
Yeah. He's been outstanding
but now,
for the last 2 months, though.
But part of that is they've been really smart about resting him during the week, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, and that's helped him. That's helped him. Tamba's playing so well. It's kind of hard to imagine him not playing just because guys never really retire on top. They never retire until they're shot. But that's going to be an interesting thing to monitor because Tom is another guy. He likes his music. He takes that real serious. He's into it. He's got his artists, and he can move on to the next stage of his career. Just he's made more than enough money in his career. That'd be something to monitor because I
honestly
don't know.
You guys both know him way better than I do, but I do see him as the kind of guy who can say, "Yeah, I've had my run, and I've got my other interests." I see him as being passionate about football, but just as passionate about other things.
Yeah, I think Tamba. Yeah, I think Tamba really enjoys the sport and everything that it does for him and all that stuff. But I don't feel that he doesn't seem to me a guy that is addicted, craves football the way that some other people do. I could see him walking away. I totally agree with what you just said, Terez, about guys have a tendency to want to play not just 1 year too long, but 3 years too long if they can, instead of retire on time or 1 year too early. But I think Tamba is maybe an exception to that. I could see him walking away. So anyway, I didn't answer your question. I think that if he wants to play, I think the Chiefs. I think they have to bring him back. I just don't think D Ford. He was terrible. Can we? I mean, just on Sunday against the Raiders.
I watched him. I wouldn't. I think he's better. I think he was a little better because the quick reaction was, oh my God, one tackle. He was a little more active than people want to give him credit for. I thought he threw his body around a little bit at times, but he played the most snaps. Well, he played like 95% of the snaps. Like, you want more than a tackle. But the one play he did make was a nice play. And, he actually was in on some plays where he didn't get credit for the tackle.
It was the fumble is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that was a good play, but Tamba got there first, I thought.
Oh, yeah. No, he got there.
I just thought
they
they
closed it off.
The Raiders
yeah.
were, pushing him around. They were
felt like
running
that
to
too,
his side.
yeah.
He's got to do a better job of using that speed rush and converting that to power and actually getting into those pass rush moves. There's got to be more violence with the hands. There's got to be a willingness to combo those moves.
He's not getting
up.
leverage. Something's off because it seems like from the start of a play on, he's basically out of it, unless he can find a way to work his way into it, and he's not. I don't think he's delivering the blow. There's something to me that just seems a step off.
He needs to be better, but I don't think he was as bad as everybody thought. One more guy. I think we covered Sean Smith pretty quickly. We think we think he could be right. All right. Chase Daniel.
He's going to want to get paid, though.
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about that. Chase Daniel, I think Chase is going to be looking for a chance to start somewhere. That's what I think.
Yep, I do too. And I think the Chiefs, at some point you have to think that you have to be confident that you've brought somebody along that can start a game or two for you. And that's money. He's making a lot of money for a backup quarterback.
Do they feel like that about Murray? Who do they feel like that about?
Well, I think you have to feel like you have to have confidence in your own system.
And they also gave a little extension to Tyler Bray too.
Yeah.
So they've spent years invested on these guys. One after 2 years and 3 years for Bray. One of those guys got to be ready to carry the torch here. And Chase wants to start.
Yeah.
Chase thinks he's a starter.
And at the price they pay him,
yeah.
they can't. They need that money elsewhere, right? I mean.
Yeah, they're going to need that if they want to keep some of this together. So, all right, last one I'll do here. Eric Berry.
Well, I tell you what. Look at how he's playing, and look at it's not quite the same as the Derek Johnson effect, but maybe it is when you add in the cancer. You would think they'd want him to be part of this organization.
Yeah.
But that's just the sentimental guy talking here. I don't know what the finances of that are.
I think with or without the cancer, I think that Eric Berry is a guy that you want to keep around. He's a guy that you want to build around. I think that he is a beloved and respected figure in that locker room. I think he does everything that you want your guys to do. Now, if he hits free agency and wants a huge contract or wants to, and I have no reason, this is pure speculation, or wants to go to Atlanta or be closer to home or something like that, then that's something you maybe can't compete with. But I think the Chiefs should want him back.
There's a part of me that wonders what happens if Atlanta throws some big time money at him. But I'll say this though, I think Eric Berry. I hear he's a loyal guy. Mm-hmm. And this organization stood next to him through that cancer thing. They put him on the NFI list. They didn't take away any of his money, which they could have done. Mm-hmm. They stuck with him the whole way. He kept getting paid, everything he was supposed to get paid. Justin Houston's one of his best friends. Justin Houston going to be here a long time. Mm-hmm. He's beloved. Man, I guess I'd be surprised if he left. I think he'll be back, and I think they want him back, especially with how good he's playing.
They should want him back.
He looks great.
I think he likes it here too. I think I'm willing to be naive on that, but I think that he likes Kansas City too. I think he really likes the Chiefs for all the reasons that you just said, Trez. But I also think I think he likes Kansas City. I think he likes how he was treated. I think he's involved in some charities.
I think he's
around
appreciative
town.
of it too.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to speed through some of these guys.
Let's do it.
From Todd Ruback. Is Jeremy Maclin the best Chiefs receiver ever? Combination of hands, speed, blocking, leadership. Total package?
So this is one of those I don't want to pretend like I know. Is this Jeremy? Something I feel like it's a young person's question. Otis Taylor was.
Yeah, Otis Taylor was
pretty
badass, right?
But in the last
converted to the last generation,
since 1990.
Who was better than him?
Dwayne Bowe led the NFL in touchdowns with Matt Castle as his quarterback.
I would rather have this version of Macklin than that version of Bowe, though. I'm sorry. I think this version of Macklin is just awesome. I think this guy's in his prime. He's competitive. He talks. He gives them a real, not a fake edge, a real edge out there. Nothing he's doing out there is disingenuous. All that talking, all that competitiveness, that's real. And he's giving them a real swagger. Jeremy Macklin thinks he's the best receiver Jeremy Macklin thinks he's the best player on the field. And I think that's been good for him. Because he's helped give them some attitude.
Yeah.
And they needed that. So I can say the last 20 years, give me this version of Macklin or anybody we've seen since '94.
It's hard for me to put it in the bigger context other than like understanding that who Otis Taylor was and some of the numbers you just talked about. But the only thing I could say is it reminds me a little bit of the Peters, only more dramatically. How he's changed what this team is. To me, it doesn't really matter whether you'd consider him the best ever or anything like that. It's the guy they needed most right now, and I think you can say that pretty authoritatively.
And I'll say this: Todd Ruback mentioned afterward that I think someone pointed out Otis Taylor to him, and he mentioned that, hey, in terms of longevity, and being an icon Chiefs receiver, Taylor gets the edge.
Yeah.
And I think Taylor deserves that respect.
Yes,
Taylor
absolutely.
deserves that respect. But of the guys we've seen since you were a kid, gotta be Mac.
Dwayne Bowe is the closest thing, and I know that how terrible Dwayne Bowe is now and how much he went down after he signed that contract. Bless his heart. And I like Dwayne.
I do too. But
I think that diminishes in our minds how good he was before all of that. And I think Macklin is a better player. I think he's certainly a better all-around player. But I don't think that it's as much of a blowout as it feels like right now when Dwayne Bowe can't get on the field with the Browns.
That's probably true. That's probably true.
He led the league in touchdowns with Matt Castle as his quarterback. I mean, that's pretty incredible.
That's a pretty good point. All right, speeding on through here. Let's see. This is an interesting question. To Alex Smith's recent success, this is from Alexis Sandoval, another one of my faithful readers. How much of that is pointing in the direction of offensive coordinator Doug Peterson? Now, that's a pretty interesting question because on Monday, Andy Reid really went out of his way to give love to Doug Peterson and some of his assistants. And he said, this is what he said. He was like, yeah, sure, I told you the coordinators and Doug, unfortunately, they get pushed under the bus a little bit because I'm an offensive guy. He said, I don't want to slight him at all. We've got great communication there. I have full confidence in Doug calling plays. If I get into a slump, he jumps in. Then he also gave love to Brad Childress, who I think helps out with these game plans too. So the honest to God truth there is that Andy Reid's calling these plays. He installs the plays in meetings. And this is Andy's deal. Andy enjoys doing it. But I think he really trusts Chili. I think Childress helps out, and I think Peterson has helped with the quarterbacks. You see him on the sideline; he's talking to the quarterbacks and stuff. And I think he helps there. And I think also Doug knows what Andy likes. Andy knows,
right.
He's been with him long enough that's a real team effort. I think.
Well, and that's probably almost an imperceptible thing when you add that element in there because Doug knows what Andy likes, so they play into that together. But I do wonder, I guess we don't really know this, or maybe you guys do, when they sit down and just kind of create the game plan as if it's in one sitting. I don't really know how they do it. But how much is Andy just throwing down bolts of lightning, and how much is there real talk and consultation? I would think they'd be talking about it and systematically doing it. I don't get the sense Andy's shoving people out of the way saying we're doing it my way. I think it's collaborative.
I think there's a good respect between those guys. I mean, I think we're all guessing here on a lot of this stuff. I think in general Doug Peterson is much more of the assistant offensive coach than he is the offensive coordinator. In the literal meaning of that term. But I assume that it's all collaborative. I think Andy's being a good leader and giving his guys credit. But we don't know. We don't know which plays Andy is calling, which plays Peterson's calling.
We'll never know. All we know is that Andy calls the play, he gives it to Doug, who relays it to the quarterback. That's what they say. That's what Andy told me in August. That's how the chain of command goes. for our excellent because I had to report that out for our excellent Chiefs preview section. So I actually got some good feedback on that graphic about how a play gets called. So I think some of you guys did read that. And I got one more question, and that'll be that for the Ask the A-Team portion of our podcast. This is from Richard Bolter. Denver excluded due to Peyton being hurt. Does this team have the ability and confidence to go into a big team stadium and win down the stretch?
I think so.
In the playoffs.
I do. I think they can. Look, it's funny, once you start thinking about specific matchups, it's kind of like, okay, who could they beat, who they wouldn't. But in just sort of this broad sense, I think they're a playoff team, and I think they're pretty good. I think they are now the team that we sort of thought they'd be before the season. And if you throw out the record, which is not really going to matter because if they're in the playoffs, so what about the record? I think we still are bogged down a little by the 5 losses. The 1-5 thing, I think, still makes you think there's a big trap door there. But I think they're pretty good. So I would not be shocked to see them win more than one playoff game.
That's that trap door. Yeah.
By the way, this is one of my favorite KC stats. That Sam threw this at me in some of my early briefing when I got here. But the idea that the Chiefs and Royals have never been in the playoffs in the same year.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's crazy.
It's totally fascinating. And look, maybe it's destined to not happen. They'll collapse down the stretch. But I think we're going to have that.
I think they're good enough. I don't know that I would pick it. I think that there's like 3 or 4 really good teams in the NFL, and then I think there's and I think there's probably 3 or 4 really crap teams, and then there's 24 others that are like the Chiefs. I think the difference is going to be, this is a complete oversimplification, right? But I guess that's what we do. It matters if they can score. When they are tied or down 2 or down 4 and they get the ball at the 30, can they go 70 yards and get a touchdown? And now we're getting back to Alex Smith. And I think that's so much of it. I think Alex, like I said, I watched all these dropbacks of his, and I think that he's playing as well. He's playing better than he ever has, at least with the Chiefs. And I don't know enough about how he was with the 49ers. But I think that he's mixing in some shots downfield. There's still some plays that he's leaving on the table or whatever, but he's protecting the ball. He is going downfield, which reminds me of the conversation we just had about Jeremy Maclin. I think he's playing better than he ever has in Kansas City. I think they can win. I don't know that I would pick it, but there's really, other than at Foxborough, is that the question basically? Can they win in Foxborough? Can they win in Cincinnati?
Can they win in the divisional round?
I'd like their chances better at Cincinnati than I would at New England, just for more intangible reasons. But they could. I wouldn't pick it, but they could.
I think what they end up doing is I think they get that first playoff win in 20 years or something. I think they're on track to do that. And I think they end up losing like a close game in the divisional round that sets up super high expectations next year. Mm-hmm. The goal next year is going to be to go to Super Bowl. That's what it needs to be. I think that's what the season's building toward. And I'm going to stay with that. I think that's where we're at unless they lose 2 of these next 4 games for some reason. So, okay, appreciate all the questions. About to wrap this thing on up here. But first, we got a little housekeeping to do. Listen now, you like your Chiefs news. This team's 7-5, won 6 in a row. I need you guys to go down and download this Red Zone Extra app. This is a Stars Chiefs app. Get it right to your phone. My stuff. Vahe stuff, Sam stuff on the Chiefs. We're putting in extra effort. Go ahead and download this app. Get your Chiefs news. Be informed. Be the smartest dude at the water cooler, right? Who are we kidding? You gotta get your Chiefs news. My man Sam's over here. He's watching tape. He's watching coaches film. Y'all know I do that. Sam's watching coaches film to get y'all, some real insight. You can parrot these opinions and be the smartest dude at the water cooler. Y'all need to holler at that. So again, Red Zone Extra, iTunes, holler at it for real, guys. It's been a pleasure. I want you to plug your stuff now, Vahe. How can people read you? What's your Twitter handle?
It's at V Gregorian, V like Victor, Gregorian like Chance. That's it. That's all I got.
All right, Hannibal. Murdoch, let's go. How can people read Sam Mellinger online?
I'm trying to get more people on my Facebook page, by the way.
Oh, you know what? Shout out to
for
that.
My name.
Yep.
Not the one where there's like a little boy and a little girl in the profile picture, because that's my personal Facebook page. That's me and my wife when we were in 8th grade, actually. But there's a journalist one. Please go to that. But if you're a Twitter man, then at Mellinger.
Absolutely.
Or a woman.
What is the
I don't
one
want to be
called?
sexist.
What's your Facebook professional page?
Just Sam Mellinger.
Right.
I should probably think of something more. No, that's
fine.
good. Yeah.
And if I've got a Facebook page as well, TPKC Star. I upload all of my stories to that, and if you follow me on Facebook and you go on there, you can read all my stories that way. That's an easy way to read them all. So I encourage you guys to do that. You can follow me on Twitter at Terez Paylor. Most of you guys do that already, but I want you to keep doing it. One more reminder: we're looking for name suggestions for this podcast, and I want a sponsor. I want you to holler at me, and that's a big deal to me. That's going to be my personal goal, other than continuing my fine coverage of this team over the last month. I want a sponsor for this podcast because it's a good one, and we have a lot of fun with it. Last thing, I want you to rate and subscribe on iTunes. Find SportsBeat KC on iTunes. Give us a review. Rate it, and I want you to subscribe to it. We're going to get these numbers up. It's the last thing I do. Thanks for listening, guys. We all love you. Somebody hit our music. Thank you, Kevin MacLeod. Badass outro. Let's go.